Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Siobhan, Double F I Rhode Island, coming to you with a quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashima Mashiach Wamalaki Yahushai. Right? And I wanted to dive into the book of Numbers, right, concerning Israel, right, and the numbering based off the house of their fathers, right? Because that's what determines one's identity. Right? That's what determines your lineage, right? The house of your fathers, right? So I want to kick it off with the book of Numbers, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their polls." Right? So we understand through the precept that these men were numbered, right? Obviously, contextually, is going into war, right? Is going into war, right? Verse 3 explains that. It says, "From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his father." Right? And it starts to go into the lineage of these men, right? Going starting from Reuben and Simeon and Judah, right? Issachar, Zebulon, right? Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Asher, right? And so on and such forth, right? So these men were numbered, right, by the house of their fathers, right? Because that's how you determine who you are according to the scriptures, right? Why are the men called the children of Israel, right? Why are they called the children of Israel, right? Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 1, right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and verse number 1. It says, "Now these are the names of the children of Israel." And who's Israel? Jacob, right? "Which came into Egypt, every man and his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulon, and Benjamin; Dan and Naphtali; Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob," right, were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already, right? So they're called the children of Israel because they come from the loins of a man by the name of Israel, man, right? What is your loins, right? It is talking about your seed, right? That's what it's referring to, right? Now let's go back to Numbers, right? This book of Numbers, chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 18. Jump down to verse 18. Salakia. Let me start at 16. It says, "These were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Israel. And Moses and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declare their pedigree after their families." Right? And what's your pedigree? It's talking about your lineage, right? Paternally, your patrilineage, right? By what? Your father. It explains it. It says, after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. Right? So you are who your father is. Right? That's what the scripture teaches. Right? You are who your mother is. Right? That's not biblically correct. Right? You cannot be identified by the house of your mother. It never said that. Right? Neither will you ever see that in scriptures. Right? Where a man is called after the house of his mother. Right? Hey, and if you can, hey, show me, find me and show me, right? But for those who may wonder, oh well, what about the woman? Right? It only mentions the men. Well, the woman's nationality is also determined based off the house of their father as well. Right? Whatever their father is, they're also the tribe of their father's household. Right? Let's get a quick precept real quick. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 27, and I want to start at verse 1. It says, "Then came the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. And these are the names of his daughters, Mahlah, Noah, and Hoglah, and Milcah, and Tizrah." Right? It says, "And they stood before Moses and before Eleazar the priest, and before the princes and all the congregation by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but died in his own sin and had no sons. Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family, because he had no son? Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our father." Right? So these women were the only children of this man. Right? He had no sons, which means what? They could not pass on the seed. Right? They were liable to be taken as wives of other men, right, and raise up seed unto them, right, either from the same tribe that they were from, or the other tribes, right? But inheritance wise, we know in Israel we married amongst our own tribes for inheritance sake, right? However, the point here is that these women, they were identified by the house of their fathers. Who? Zelophehad, right? Who descended and is a descendant of the man called Manasseh, right? So Manasseh, right, is the forefather of these daughters of Zelophehad, right? Which makes them what? Of the house of Manasseh, right? Of the house of Zelophehad, right? So these women are also included in the number of the children of Israel because of the house of their fathers as well, not by the house of their mothers, right? Let's get another precept. Go to the book of Leviticus. All right. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 24. All right. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 24, and I'm going to start at verse 10. It says, "And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel. And this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp." Right? And let's read that again slowly. It says, "And the son of an Israelitish woman," which means what? This son's mother was an Israelite. Right? That's all that is saying. whose father was an Egyptian. So now we understand who his father was. He was from the nation of Egypt, right? The Egyptians, right? So reading on. Went out among the children of Israel. So this son went out among the children of Israel, which shows what? A distinction. This son is not of the kindred of his mother, right? It says, and this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp, right? So clearly a distinction once again. This is Egyptian son of this Egyptian man and an Israelite woman was striving with a man of Israel, right? He strove with a man of Israel, which shows what? Separation, right? Because that son did not come from the loins of an Israelite man. He came from the loins of an Egyptian man, right? It says, and the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed, and they brought him unto Moses, and his mother's name was Shelemith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan, right? So the mother descends from the man called Dan, right? The tribe of Dan. But this son, right, of this Israelitish woman has the paternal lineage that goes back to an Egyptian man, right? Which we can see the clear distinction of him being strived against an Israelite man in the camp and is brought unto Moses, right? It says, and they put him inward that the mind of the Lord might be shewed them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, bring forth him that had cursed without the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, whosoever curseth his God shall bear his sin. Right? Hey, so he blasphemed against the Most High, and the Israelites, right, have to stone him as a result of this, right? Which shows what? It says, whosoever curseth his God. Whose God? Israel's God, right? Shall bear his sin. And he that blasphemeth the name of the Lord, he shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemeth the name of the Lord, shall be put to death, right? Shall be put to death, right? So even these strangers, when they're dwelling amongst Israel, they have to conform to the the law, statutes, and commandments that applies to them dwelling amongst us, right? There's a certain order and structure in which they had to live by, and once they opposed that, they were still given judgment by the Most High, by the hand of the men of Israel, right? But Most High willing, that was edifying through the Spirit, right? And that puts an end to the understanding and the doctrine, right, of one's lineage or identity being of the house of anything else but the house of their fathers. But with that, Kwame Shalom. Shalom.